Welcome back to the On Air with Jamie podcast. Today's show is brought to you by Super Conscious Shift Sessions, one-on-one sessions with me where we dive deep into your psyche. We uncover the things that you feel are in the way of you reaching that life that you so freaking desire to live. And we shift them, we reprogram them, rewire them at their root cause. This is the most efficient way that you can do shadow work. Today's episode is a really big one. It feels big for me to talk about because this is a topic that I just don't see people in the mindset space really addressing a lot. And so I guess because of that, I definitely am putting a lot of pressure on myself to present this in a certain way. And so I did have all of these notes and all of this stuff just planned out, trying to really perfect the episode. And I've decided, you know what? This is one of those things where I need to really anchor into myself. Like, I know this stuff. I don't need notes. I don't need to try and perfect it. What I need to do is trust that what is going to come out in the moment is going to be exactly what you need to hear. And if I'm honest, that really scares me a little bit because I want to do this topic justice. I want this to really land with you. And the reason I want this to really land with you is because so many of you are out there battling internal civil wars that you might not even know about. You have different aspects of you that are not in alignment with the vision that you desire for your life. I'm just going to say that again because it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. You actually have aspects of yourself that are not in alignment with the big vision that you have for your life. And it's not alignment as in like they're not good enough and they need to be an energetic match. It's none of that bullshit. It's actually that the big vision that you desire does not match the desire that certain parts of you have. So let me explain this concept of part personalities so that you can really see how this is playing out in your life. And then at the end, what I have for you is a really beautiful resource that is going to help you uncover some of these part personalities and also help to reprogram them and address them in a way that's going to feel really, really good for you. So when I talk about the concept of part personalities, what I am not talking about is bipolar, schizophrenia, multiple personality disorder, or anything of that kind. That is a completely separate thing. So let's just put all of that, imagine you're putting it all in a box, and let's just file that box away. That is not what we're talking about here. What I am talking about here is the psychological theory that your main psyche, your main personality, who you are, is actually made up of all different aspects, tiny different parts of you that all come together under an umbrella to form your main personality. And that's the way I really want you to think about it. I want you to think about your main personality, what you currently identify within this moment, as being the umbrella. And beneath the umbrella are all of these different tiny parts of you. Some are going to play a more distinct role than others. But what's really important to note here is that all of these different parts of you, they have their own identity. They have their own beliefs, their own values, their own perspectives, and most importantly, their own desires. So many women are sabotaging themselves every single day because they have different pieces of them that have different desires that don't match up and that cannot see that there actually is a potential reality where they can all have their desires at once. And a really beautiful example of this for the mums out there are when you want to be a present mum. So you have this mum aspect of you, that really beautiful maternal aspect. And her goals are that she wants to be a really present mum. That's the desire. But then you also have this other aspect of you. And it's kind of like the boss babe, CEO version who wants to build an epic empire, right? In that, these two parts often don't see eye to eye because the maternal side struggles to see a reality in which this person, the main personality, you, can actually have this $1 million absolute amazing empire where you are the freaking CEO and also be a present mum. So they come up against each other. And you can't see this if you're listening to the podcast. You really should be watching on YouTube because you get to see all of the hand gestures. But quite literally what it's like is these two different aspects of you hitting up against each other. Like imagine your two fists are clenched and they're hitting together. It's the two different parts of you coming head to head. And this happens every single day. And what's really interesting is that a lot of people aren't like consciously aware of these patterns. And yet they will always say things like, oh, I don't know. It's like there's a part of me that really wants this, but there's another part of me that really wants something else. Please tell me if you have experienced that, because I know that you have. Everyone has on some level, right? And it's in those moments that what you're actually identifying without even knowing it are these different parts of you that have different desires. There's a few core parts that I want to just really quickly touch on so that I can give you a few more examples of how this plays out. So, and the thing is that, like, if you look this up, you can find some really like specific key aspects. They're the ones that I'm going to share with you. But there really could be any number of different parts of your personality, of different aspects of you that make up who you are, right? It's infinite, because every time you spark a new desire or you learn something new or you're faced with a new experience, everything has the potential to awaken a new part personality. Some really common ones that people talk about are the inner critic. So that voice of doubt, that voice that pops in your head and has you questioning things and has you doubting who you are and your abilities and your capabilities and all of the things. There is the protector controller, the part of you that really wants to shield all aspects of you from potential harm or from being called out or from any sort of emotional pain, from conflict. This part of you wants to always control the narrative, and it doesn't feel safe when it isn't controlling the narrative. There is the inner child, the one that probably everyone is most familiar with. The inner child, which harbors all of your memories and your beliefs and your experiences from your childhood. This one obviously is the most common one that people talk about because we all know how much of our programming and how much of who we are stems from our childhood, particularly between those ages of 0 to 7. And the other one I really want to touch on is the inner saboteur, the part of you that has so much fear in your desires that it keeps you stuck in certain patterns in order to keep you safe and keep you experiencing your comfort zone over and over and over. The inner saboteur is a rather complex one in itself, because there is like the part of you that is the inner saboteur, but there's also other parts that dominate sabotaging patterns. For example, there is an inner perfectionist. You've got a procrastinator, an overthinker, a people pleaser, an imposter. You've got all of these different aspects that seem like they would be part of the inner saboteur, and they absolutely are, but some of them will dominate more than others. Now, the reason I think this is such an important concept for you to understand and to bring to light in this industry is purely because I don't see a lot of people talking about it, which means that a lot of these parts of you are going unnoticed. They're being pushed down. They're being ignored. You're not consciously aware of their patterns, but it's still all playing out and it's still all affecting you in the day-to-day running of your business, in the way you lead your life, in the way that you lead yourself. What we need when we're going through the healing and the transcending of this is, at the end of the day, we need all of these different parts and aspects of you to be able to see a timeline and a vision for your life in which all of their desires are met. And the reality is that absolutely does exist. Because if you can imagine that there is a vision for your life where you get to be, example, the $1 million CEO, running a mega empire, running the retreats, the programs, speaking on stages, doing all of those things, and also be a really present mom, like that absolutely exists if you can imagine it, if you can see how it plays out. And what this does, when you imagine this, it quite literally sparks up a new timeline, a new version of events in the quantum field, and that is there for your taking. But what we need is these different parts of you to be able to see that timeline. We need these parts of you to see that there absolutely is a reality that they all get to have everything that they desire. We need your inner saboteur and those different aspects of that to see, because their core desire is to be safe and to be comfortable and to feel good, right? We need those parts of you and those patterns to see that in that reality, in that vision that you have, you are safe, you are comfortable, you do feel good. And there are multiple ways that we can do this. We can focus in on very specific part personalities, and we can do the healing with them. This is where a lot of people talk about the inner child work. This is where, when I do self-sabotage patterns, I'm really going into each individual pattern so we can heal it from that aspect. We can also go through processes where we bring forth these parts of us and we help them to see the reality in which all of their desires are met at once. Something you might be wondering at the moment, and if you're not, it's fine, I'm going to share this anyway, is how this is different from shadow work, because part personalities are not the same as shadows. Shadows are actually aspects of ourself that are in the shadows, that we are denying, that don't feel safe for us to show, that we are pushing down, that we feel shame around. There are aspects of our personality that are quite literally in the shadows and being ignored. And it absolutely does sound very similar, but it is different. Your main personality has shadow aspects of it. Each individual part personality has shadow aspects of it. But the part personality and the shadow are not the same thing. This is why I'm always like, mindset work is actually so much more complex than writing in a journal, saying affirmations, or even following like EFT tapping videos online. Because what you think is like a simple pattern that's playing out in your world is actually a web. And I want to really create a visual for this. I'm going to post it to my Instagram soon. But it really is a web where each thing is like so intertwined and tangled within other things. And so when you're always just tackling stuff from that top 10% of the iceberg that we spoke about in iceberg theory, when we're always just looking at the mindset and neglecting the body, when we're always just wanting to journal things or do things the easy way, we're actually neglecting this level of complexity that really exists in our psyche. When you continue to go down the route of doing mindset work that neglects these parts and neglects these aspects and neglects to address them, you're actually doing yourself an incredible disservice. Because what you can do is you can consistently be switching up your mindset. And I see this all the time. I just had a conversation the other day around this, where it's like, well, I just don't allow myself to feel those things. When I notice those thoughts, beliefs, feelings, whatever come up, I flip it. Like I flip it. And that's rewiring my mind because I don't want to feel that way. And okay, that's great. But here's the thing. Your body remembers things that your mind does not. We have this such a complex interplay between our mind, our body, and our spirit. And I really believe that unless you're addressing things on each level, you're not really doing the deep inner work that is going to form your path of least resistance. And for me, that's what this work is about. This is about forming your path of least resistance. You're going to have a fucking lot of resistance to doing this work. Most people do because it's scary. it's scary, and it's scary to think that you might uncover these different parts of your personality that don't feel good, or that are denying the things that your main personality wants. Like, it's a lot to hold, to literally say there's actually a part of me that doesn't want that vision. You know, every year I create this beautiful Pinterest board and I pin all the things that I want. And, you know, I've been manifesting this car and this house and this life and this business and this income. And I've been manifesting all of these things. And there's a part of me that actually doesn't want it. That's a lot. And that is so incredibly triggering for people. But it actually is the reality. And I want to share something that, ironically, my mentor shared with me after her mentor shared it with her. And so I just feel like we're spreading this really beautiful message. But it comes with a trigger warning, because a lot of people do not like to hear this. If you truly wanted the things that you wanted, if you truly wanted the things that you want, the things that you desire, that life that you're pinning to your Pinterest board, that you're putting on your vision board every single year, you would have it. If you really wanted the things that you say you want, you would have them. Because if you really wanted them, you would stop at nothing until you got them. And the reason it feels hard, the reason you keep getting taken out of action, the reason you keep getting close to the thing and then not being able to hold it, or close to the thing and then tripping up and losing things, or whatever is playing out in your life, it happens in like the craziest of ways. It's happening because there is a part of you that isn't on board with this vision. And while you're sitting there journaling and pulling your cards and charging your crystals and like following people's EFT tapping videos on the internet, you're not addressing these parts of you that just need to be seen and shown that there is a way that they can have everything that they want. There is a part of you who doesn't want the things that you say you want. And until we look at this part, until we look at its beliefs and its values and its perspectives and its actual desires, we show it the reality in which it gets to have everything. And we get it to rejoin the main personality and to stop being so triggered. And yes, I talk about this part as if it's a tiny little human part of you, because that's exactly what it is. It's a tiny little human part of you. It needs to see that it is safe to have the things that you desire. And it needs to see a reality in which its desires are met along with all the other desires of all the other parts of you. And I feel like I'm getting super repetitive here, but I really want this to land. There are parts of you who do not want the things that you desire, and we need to address them. If you don't address them, if you don't look at these parts, if you don't go through these processes and look at the core beliefs and the perspectives and all of the things, your journey will continue to feel like an internal civil war. Like there is part of you that wants one thing and part of you that wants another. And all of a sudden you're so confused because you don't know what to do and you don't know which part to listen to. And it's going to feel like you're coming up against yourself every single day, because that is exactly what's going on inside you. That is exactly what is going on inside you. I'm interrupting this episode really quickly to talk to you about my brand new one-on-one offer, Super Conscious Shift Sessions. These are one-on-one intensive subconscious reprogramming and trauma release sessions. Honestly, I see things so overcomplicated in this online industry, and I really wanted to create something that was so stripped back and so specific and fucking simple for you to move through the blocks and the things that are keeping you stuck. If you are feeling resistance, if you know all of the things that you need to be doing, but you're not doing it, something is in the way. And it's most likely not because you're out of alignment. It's because there is a part of you that doesn't want you to take the action that you know you need to take. We can literally reprogram this and release what is stopping you from your body in a simple 60-minute session with me. If this interests you, please reach out via DM on Instagram to talk about packages, or click the link in the show notes below to book your one-on-one session right now. Spaces are limited, of course, because this is one-on-one work work directly with me, held over Zoom. But I promise you, the transformation that you will experience from these sessions is like no other. This work is so important to me, and it's really important for me to get this work out there, to invite you into my world, and to give you a taste of what it's like to experience life without limitations. Now, what I have created for you, I could honestly talk about part personalities all day, but it's such a big topic and it's a lot to try and squeeze into one podcast episode and like really do it justice. Like I could honestly create a whole episode on every single part personality, which would be infinite because you just never know when new ones are going to form, but all of the common ones certainly. But what I want to do instead is actually help you start to identify some of these parts. And not just in general, I want to help you identify some of your more specific parts in the space of self-sabotage. So what I have created for you, and this is so fun, like I'm honestly so excited to share this with you right now. You have no idea how much I have put into this so that it can become an honestly beautiful, not just resource, but actual like transformation for you. So what I have created is a quiz. And this quiz is called Meet and Master Your Inner Bitch. And it's quite literally going to help you identify your dominant inner saboteur and her pattern and how she plays out and what is going on beneath that and what her desires and her vision and everything actually are. And then of course, because I just like, it wouldn't be me if I didn't do this, I'm taking it one step further. You'll go through the quiz, you'll get all of the information that you need, you'll really get to identify and see this aspect of you. And I'm giving you some simple little tweaks and things that you can do on a daily basis, on a really micro, small level, to start to shift up these patterns and help this part of you see that it is safe to do things another way, that it is safe to be another way, that it is safe to have different desires. I have recorded you a very specific recode for your dominant sabotaging pattern. And you will get that when you sign up. So you'll go through the quiz. You don't have to put in your email or anything to do that. You'll get the results regardless. But if you want that recode, you do need to put your email in because it will be sent in the second email 24 hours after you do the quiz, because there's some little things in the quiz that I want you to do first before I get you to go through the recode. I am honestly just like, I'm so excited to put this quiz out there. It is not going to be like heavy or into problem solving. You know, that is not the way that I do business. It's a really beautiful way that's going to feel light and fun to help you uncover these patterns, to help you see how your inner saboteur and her most dominant patterns are playing out in your life and keeping you small. And then, of course, like, it's fine. Like I always say, we can bring this stuff into the light. We can bring this stuff in the conscious awareness, but that doesn't transcend the pattern. The reprogramming does. I'm giving you all of that. It's honestly the best thing I've ever seen on the freaking internet. And of course, I'm biased because I created it, but it is my gift to you for just a freaking amazing year on this show, in my business, on my socials, literally everywhere. So that is going to be linked in the show notes. Go and do it. Make sure you DM me and tell me what your archetype is. Make sure you screenshot it and you share it to your stories so that you can like literally just claim it. Like claim it. Because there's actually no shame in these parts of you. And I really want to finish on this note. This isn't where I was going to finish, but I really want to finish on this note. There's actually no shame in these parts of you. They were formed out of necessity. These parts of you were formed to keep you safe, and they play an important role in doing that. When you shame them, when you deny them, when you look at them with the problem-solving lens and want to make them wrong, you actually start to form resistance towards them. And so instead of having all of your energy with you as one whole main personality and putting it towards the thing that you desire, the life that you want to live, your energy is split. It's over here resisting this stuff, resisting these parts of you, resisting the things that you don't want to be, the beliefs you don't want to have, the patterns you don't want to be in, instead of just being over here focused on where you're going. And this is what I believe is the true key to collapsing time and quantum leaping. It is being so focused on the thing that you desire that you take away the power from everything else, because you're not denying it, you're not shaming it, you're not resisting it. All of your energy, all of your focus is on where you want to be. And when you are looking at where you want to be and where you want to go, and you're so focused on that rather than all this other shit, what's going to drop in are the obvious next action pieces to take you through to that path, to take you through to that reality. And that right there is actually a bonus spoiler. There is a video on my YouTube as we speak, which you will also get access to after you do the quiz funnel. And it's going to show you exactly how you can get your obvious next steps to collapse time and quantum leap. I'm going to make sure that everything is linked below for you, but please go and do the quiz. Please share it with me. Please share your results, your findings, literally everything. And make sure that in every moment, rather than denying and resisting those parts of you that you uncover, I want you to send them love. And I want you to send them gratitude, because they were formed out of necessity, and in some way in your life, they have kept you safe. But they do not need to keep you safe any longer.